From Storm Tracker 6, this is Forecast First, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
We're starting to see some lake effect rain showers popping up on the radar this morning and now into the afternoon, and it's going to continue here for the next several hours. You can already see them right along the horizon. Those are some low-hanging clouds, and we aren't the only ones dealing with the lake effect. It's Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, even Lake Ontario getting in on the action, and it's tied to that cooler air. Now our chances for lake effect rain continue here through the afternoon, and we'll talk about the timing on when might be best to head out without getting into a shower or two. We'll talk about that more coming up as 6 News at Noon begins.
WMMS is here for you, celebrating 75 years of bringing you the news with 6 News at Noon.
Right now at noon, armed National Guard troops could soon be patrolling other cities across the country. It is our top story at noon. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kirk Montgomery. President Trump is threatening to deploy National Guard troops to other U.S. cities, including Chicago, Baltimore, and New York, amid the Trump administration's so-called crackdown on crime nationwide. Residents of Washington, D.C. are now waking up to the sight of armed guards on the streets in what is seen as an escalation of the president's federal takeover of the nation's capital. Natalie Brand is here for you now with the very latest from Washington.
I don't think that's going to happen.
President Trump is expanding his anti-crime initiative in Washington, D.C., signing an executive order aimed at ending cashless bail, a policy where the court doesn't require some defendants to pay to get out of jail before trial.
That was when the big crime in this country started.
The order threatens federal funding for D.C. and asks the Attorney General to look into other jurisdictions with cashless bail in place.
We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in D.C., and that we have the right to do through federalization.
This latest move comes as some National Guard troops deployed in the nation's capital are now armed. A spokesman saying the use of force would be solely in response to an imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm. D.C. community organizers protested this weekend.
Let D.C. run D.C. The president does not need to get involved in this.
Democratic leaders from across the country are sounding the alarm over the president's talk of expanding the operation to other cities, including Chicago.
The president does not have the constitutional or legal authority to federalize the National Guard here in Illinois.
President Trump has also threatened to send national troops to Baltimore and is clashing on social media with Maryland Governor Wes Moore, a military veteran himself.
As someone who actually deployed overseas and served my country in combat, to ask these men and women to do a job that they're not trained for is just deeply disrespectful.
Several Republican governors are supporting the Trump administration effort, with 6 states sending their National Guard troops to D.C. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And we are working to learn more about a woman who remains in critical condition after being shot by her husband in her home on Westmead Road near St. John's. Deputies responded to the home several miles south of the village of Maple Rapids. They say the woman's husband shot her before she escaped to a neighbor's home and called for help. When deputies arrived, the man had already taken off, but they later found and arrested him. Meanwhile, the woman was taken to the hospital where she's listed in critical condition but said to be stable. The mother of the Oxford High School shooter now asking the Michigan Court of Appeals to throw out her convictions of involuntary manslaughter. Jennifer Crumbly and her husband James both were sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison. Their son admitted to shooting 4 other students to death in 2021. Prosecutors say his parents were, quote, grossly negligent when it came to storing guns and ammunition, and say they missed opportunities to stop this tragedy. However, the appeal claims the prosecution was inconsistent, charging the boy as an adult, while also prosecuting Jennifer for a lack of action in controlling her minor child. And we have a heads up for drivers in Eaton County. Closures start today on I-96, which could affect your commute all week in both directions. The Michigan Department of Transportation is shutting down one lane both eastbound and westbound between Lansing and Kreitz roads. The single lane closures started at 9 o'clock this morning, with the lanes scheduled to reopen around 3 this afternoon. This is set to happen every day through Friday, so drivers should expect delays. It's all part of a 3-year, $44 million project to rebuild I-96, including bridges. And if you are out on the roads, it will cost you more to reach your destination. AAA says gas prices in Michigan are up 18 cents from just a week ago to an average of $3.30 a gallon. That's up a penny from this time last month, but down 19 cents from this time last year. Governor Gretchen Whitmer appeals multiple federal disaster aid denials after FEMA failed to approve key portions of Michigan's request for critical assistance. This in the wake of that historic March 2025 ice storm that devastated much of northern Michigan. Between March 28th and 30th, a severe ice storm paralyzed northern Michigan with extreme ice accumulation, causing prolonged and widespread power outages, hazardous conditions, and record levels of infrastructure damage. On July 22nd, President Trump approved a federal disaster declaration authorizing FEMA public assistance funding for emergency work and certain permanent repairs across 13 counties and the Little Traverse Bay bands of Ottawa Indians. However, FEMA denied assistance for a variety of categories that would fund permanent repairs to damaged utilities, individual assistance, which helps people with housing and disaster-related losses, and the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, which funds long-term projects to reduce future risks. Meantime, record high temperatures in the West, fueling the threat of wildfires. More than 30 million people now under extreme weather alerts. In Northern California, intense flames challenging fire crews and forcing the evacuation of hundreds of people. In Napa County, winds are fanning and expanding the Picket Fire, which has consumed more than 10 square miles. It was just 11% contained Sunday, though officials say they are managing it. Smoke spread into many of the region's famed vineyards, threatening wine production.
Smoke on the grapes. The quicker they can get this thing out and the smoke can leave, we can make good wine again.
Farther north in Oregon, the Flat Fire has consumed more than 20,000 acres. An extreme heat warning in Portland, Oregon extends through tomorrow after temperatures topped 102 degrees. Fire officials say with high temperatures and bone-dry conditions, increased wildfire activity could last through at least September.
From Storm Tracker 6, this is Weather First, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
Well, on the flip side of that, we have cooler, wetter weather here for the start of the week in mid-Michigan, and you can see a shower on the Grand Ledge camera, that darker shade right underneath the cloud base. We do have lake effect showers now in place with temperatures that are staying in the low 60s. It's still cool, and as that cool air moves over the warm lake waters, it's picking up that moisture, creating some rain showers. Now, those are finally moving inland, and that's something that we'll have here for the remainder of the day. These showers started out closer to the lake earlier this morning. Now they're expanding. They actually are coming off of all the different lakes too. Huron, Erie, Ontario. Really cool to see this kicking up in action. And you can actually see the trajectory of those showers follows our winds. They're coming in from the northwest, right around 5 to 10 miles an hour in most spots. So there are some outliers getting closer to 15 miles an hour. Now that's going to keep bringing in that chance for showers throughout the day, along with cooler temperatures. Right now we're seeing some temperatures, if they're lucky, in the mid-60s. But you see up towards Ionia, it's still in the upper 50s. It's going to be a slow go today to get things warmed up. Looking like we'll be in the upper 60s to possibly low 70s if we're lucky. Some peaks of sunshine trying to warm us up in between those clouds. Now the cloud cover is something that won't really be sticking around tonight. Looking like mostly clear. Lows dropping into the upper 40s. It's going to be chilly. Then as we get to tomorrow morning, it's going to stay that way. But in the afternoon, we're going to have a repeat of today. Still seeing a mix of some sun and some clouds, along with that chance for some isolated lake effect rain showers. On our precision cast, it shows you that chance for some rain just kind of continues here through the early evening. Then as we go overnight, we get a break, followed up by additional chances for some rain showers to start the day on Tuesday, continuing into the afternoon and evening. These are pesky showers. They aren't going to add much on top of our rainfall totals. Instead, the only nice side to them is that they could let us see some rainbows across mid-Michigan. They won't even increase our mugginess, I'll tell you that. It's staying low until we get to Thursday, and that's just because Thursday is going to have more rain. We're seeing another cold front move through. It's going to swoop down into the area, give us chances for additional rain throughout the day. This is our big chance for rain for the week because it's gone in the blink of an eye. Back on Friday, we're seeing things drying up. Now, what this will do is drag down an additional lobe of that cool air mass back in for the end of this week, reinforcing this cool air that's already in place. Now, on our 6-day forecast, you'll see here, we do have some chilly overnight temperatures as a result. Those 40s here for the next few nights. We get a little bit of a warm up there Wednesday during the day. That translates overnight to the 50s. And we have additional 40s popping in for the end of this week. I know football's getting going in high school. Have a jacket ready because it might be a little bit on the cool side for some people's liking.
But this is still false fall, right?
Exactly, yeah. We'll have more warm weather. It's going to increase next week. But this is just a little taste.
A little taste of what's to come.
Enough
and we need the rain, though, right?
We do, yeah. And that's the thing, is it's just enough to squeeze out more moisture. So we're getting a win on either side.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Katie.